say we're going to have to run through them.
Celtics.
No one in the West.
Nah, I'm fine in the West.
This was wild to me.
The Brooklyn Nets are trading Kyrie Irving to the Dallas Mavericks.
The Lakers landed their former number 2 overall pick, D'Angelo Russell, in a trade. Russell Westbrook is out. D'Angelo Russell is in.
And so they're going to continue to be active to try to keep Kevin Durant tethered to this Brooklyn franchise, at least through Thursday's trade deadline.
Breaking news. The Nets, they're no more, at least as they started this season.
Mat Ishbia, the new owner in Phoenix, he wanted to come in and make a splash, and he's done it. Kevin Durant is a Phoenix Sun.
Hello. Welcome to the Mill3r Sports podcast. I am your host, Franklin Miller, and this sports podcast is affiliated with my company I like to call Burn City Sports. And today, for this episode of my podcast, we will be talking about, well, you just saw the video, Ja Morant's comments on him being still fine in the West and what the Suns have to do for the final 22 games and counting to host the Bill O'Brien Trophy. And to finish it off, I'll also talk about Mat Ishbia's dedication to being a winner for this organization and why that's so important in today's culture change for the Phoenix Suns moving forward. But to start off, let's just talk about Ja Morant's comments. I'm still fine in the West. That video I just posted, that was posted by my good friend and co-worker Cipriano Shirez, as we like to call him, CJ. Shout out CJ. If you don't follow him on Instagram, follow him at sip.jr. He is really good, really talented. He put up this really cool reel for the company, and he's done some really cool things. So like I said, just follow him on Instagram at sip.jr or jr, I should say. And it's really cool. I would say that I love Ja Morant's moxie. I love everything about him. I love the fact that he said this. I know this was kind of a comment he said way before all these trades happened, and now look at the West now. But I like the fact that he does this, that he said something like this. It's good for the league. And then to cap it all off, he actually made some other comments about still being fine in the West. And it was during the All-Star game when the West and the East were playing against each other, Team LeBron versus Team Giannis. And he made some other cool comments in the fourth quarter with Draymond Green being present. So I would like to take you through exactly what he said. Yeah, it was Ja Morant talking with Draymond Green. And like you said, they have so much found respect. I know in last year's playoffs that the Warriors and Grizzlies kind of went at it with each other. But Ja Morant and Draymond Green have a mutual respect, great relationship off the court. And as you can tell with the mutual respect by saying that the Warriors are still a inferior team that they got to look at in the Western Conference, which I agree. Their plus rating and the starting lineup is nothing to sniff about, even though they're above, like right at 500 and ninth in the West. They're still a team that can knock off any top seeded team in the Western Conference. So that, along with Memphis, who's also formidable, even though they've lost 5 in a row, they're still a formidable opponent. They just got Luke Kennard for the trade market. I think that's a great addition to their team to go alongside Desmond Bane. You got two knockdown shooters, one that can come off the bench for you and give you a solid 15 points off 5 threes, which is scary to think about, but they'll get it figured out. And then you have to mention, from the Mavericks to getting Kyrie to pair with Luka, from the Suns to get KD to pair with Devin Booker and Chris Paul and DeAndre Ayton, and the Clippers, who now just got Russell Westbrook to go along with Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. I know everybody might laugh a little about that one. You have the Nuggets, who have one of the best starting fives in the entire league. You got the Lakers with their new starting lineup with D'Angelo Russell to pair with LeBron James and Anthony Davis and Rui Hashimura. I think the West is set up for something special to come down the stretch, and I think it's going to continue to be a very, very good start end to the season for the Western Conference. And I think what Ja Morant brings as a player is just a lot of, like I said earlier, just a lot of confidence in his team, just a lot of moxie, a lot of passion for what he represents as a person. And I think it's just good for the league. And I think the Suns are going to be up for the challenge. Like I said, I'm a firm believer that with this KD acquisition, that they have all they need to win a championship. It won't be easy, especially like Ja Morant said. The East is crazy. You got the Celtics, you got the Bucks. If I'm not mistaken, you got the 76ers. So there's no easy out coming from the East. So Suns have all hands on deck for them, as they also need to figure out exactly which pieces mesh well in the bench, and they got to see when KD comes back. And that's exactly will go to my next part of this topic is how will the Suns, become NBA champions? And I listed top 3 things that the Suns need to do in order to become NBA champions in the second half of the season. And so as you look through my article here, there's a lot of good stuff. One of the things that I definitely said, and I alluded to it in the last podcast on Saturday, was consistency with the bench rotation. Like Monty Williams alluded to this after the loss against the Clippers last Thursday before the All-Star break, how he thought he played too many guys. And a lot of that had to do with there's a lot of just new people in the lineup, with Terrence Ross and TJ Warren coming to the fold of this team. Now you also have Cameron Payne, who's about to come back. Landry Shamet is coming back. We don't even know what's going to happen with Ish Wainwright. They still have a final roster spot that they got to take. Will they look at a guy like Serge Ibaka in the buyout market where they need defense? Who knows? It asks for a lot of interesting questions come later this year for the Suns. And I think it starts with the bench and to see how you can consistently give them all minutes. I think Terrence Ross is a perfect complement to Devin Booker. I think TJ Warren's a perfect complement to Kevin Durant. I think Cameron Payne has been a great complement to Chris Paul. Bismack Biyombo gives you defensive play and rim protection along with shot blocking that is probably the best on the roster to spell for DeAndre Ayton. I think the Suns have every little piece in there in every facet of this team that can really do well for you to win a championship. They got a great all-around player in Kevin Durant. They got a great all-around scorer in Devin Booker. You got a great facilitator and leader in Chris Paul. You got a great double-double machine in DeAndre Ayton. You got a great all-around defender in Josh Okogie. You got a great three-point shooter in Damian Lee. You got a great all-around scorer off the bench in Terrence Ross. You got a great mid-range arsenal guy in TJ Warren off the bench. You got a great rim protector and shot blocker in Bismack Biyombo. And the list goes on and on and on. And with all these little characters in this arc for this championship run, that leads to one of the third things I said, which is skipping the second part, and that is they got to stay healthy. That's one of the things that is very, very important for this team is they got to stay healthy. I think they got all the pieces there to match up and win this thing. I think that as long as they stay healthy, as long as they get in a rhythm together, I think they can shock the world and win big here. I think one thing that has to be certain out though is a lot of things have to mesh well for this to work. Obviously, stay healthy is one of the things, but another key arsenal, and this was the second part that I kind of skipped over from the stay healthy margin, and that is they got to figure out who is going to be that fifth and final starter for between Josh Okogie and Torrey Craig. I think that is what's going to make or break the later part of this season. And I think Monty Williams alluded to it last week where he said that there's going to be games where Torrey Craig's going to start. There's going to be games where Josh Okogie is going to start. And I think if anything, it really, to me, you can start either or and they'll be fine because the starting lineup around them is just that good and it'll give a lot of open shots and opportunities for these other guys. But I think you got to put the person that's going to give you obviously the best 3-point shooting because they're going to be open, the best defense, and the best guy that can give them second chance points. I think both do well in both. I think Torrey Craig gives you better 3-point shooting than Josh Okogie, even though Josh Okogie's been amazing from there over the past 4 games. I think going 15 for 27, including that and scoring and shooting 55% from the floor. I think Craig's been shooting 40% from 3 on the season. He's been averaging 8.4 points per game as a starter this season. And I think that Josh Okogie, from his standpoint, along with Torrey Craig, both give you great offensive rebounding production as they both are just active on the glass. And I think with a guy like KD and Devin Booker, who's going to continuously be, game planned for, is going to leave them open opportunities to attack the glass, be great offensive weapons and slashers and 3-point shooters for this team. So whoever is starting, then you have to get them comfortable for where their bench rotation is going to be. If it's Josh Okogie starting, how's the flow going to go from? Are you going to go Terrence Ross first off the bench? Who's he going to spell for? Are you going to spell for D Book first and foremost? Or are you going to have D Book, Torrey Craig, and Terrence Ross play together? Are you going to have TJ Warren, Devin Booker, and Terrence Ross play together when people are coming off the bench? There's a lot of question marks that Monty Williams is going to have to answer, but it all starts with who that fifth and starting final spot is for between Okogie and Craig. And I think that's a great problem to have with the way those two play. And so I think an argument can be made for both. Obviously, Josh Okogie's been amazing the past 4 games, scoring 21 points per game and averaging 5 rebounds per game and 2.3 steals per game. He's been an all-around defensive player that's been amazing for them, and I think it's just going to continue to grow for him. I think during his time in Minnesota, he's been amazing, picking up guys like whether it's James Harden, down the floor and blocking their shots. Like, even though he had a highlight reel play against Houston earlier in the year where he did the same thing, and another against the Clippers. So it should be an interesting situation. I mean, comment below, whoever's watching this, and to see who would you guys rather start in that 5th and final spot. I think it's an amazing problem to have if you're one of these guys. So, but yeah, so like that's a key thing that I feel like the Suns need to figure out in order for them to be NBA champions this year. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of tough tasks, but I think with the way the roster is built, they can compete with a lot of these teams in the entire league, and I think they can be really good and match up really well with them and take anybody 7 games, if they stay healthy. And I think it's going to take a lot for that to happen, but I think this team is up for the challenge. And so that will pretty much kind of lead into my final discussion for this short podcast today. And that will lead into what I take from what Mat Ishbia said earlier today. And my good friend and coworker for Mill3r Sports, Jacob Harden, ended up writing an article about this as well. And it was something that he took from his quotes, and it was, "I'm always trying to win, and I'm trying to win now." And that's something that's truly amazing if you're a Suns fan to hear. This is a guy in Mat Ishbia who's very young. He took over the company. Is good friends with Dan Gilbert now, who was rivals with him earlier in his career. Is now, friends and partners with him along in the NBA family. That in his first day, picking up a shift as the owner and governor of the Phoenix Suns, he helped land Kevin Durant in Phoenix. Unbelievable. So he means business. And he's going to try to do anything and everything to win not only the fans over, but to become a successful organization inside and out. And I believe not only with the acquisition with Kevin Durant, just the way he treats people, the way he is with employees, the way he is with the players and coaches, I think he's going to be a phenomenal guy for the job. And I think it's only the beginning. And like he said here, it's like, Well, like he said in the press conference, he loved our team. Like he loved the fact with Mikal Bridges and Cam Johnson. Then it sucks that they're gone. But he's always trying to win. And he's always trying to win now. And what I take from that is he's always trying to improve. It's never, not saying it's never good enough, but that any great organization is always trying to improve the roster, always trying to get better, always trying to strive to be great. And I think to get that from an owner, that's going to go a long way. I remember, growing up in the Bay Area, being a big time 49ers fan, and I know Cardinals fans may not want to hear that, but I never got to witness, the great 1980s and 90s 49ers, but they had a great owner in Eddie DeBarlo that had similar values, wanting to win, always wanted to improve the roster, always wanted to improve the organization from top flight to everything. And it went and it grew well. And I think that is a great sign if you're a Phoenix Suns fan to have an owner that's doing whatever it takes to always improve this team, not only as from a business side, but from a roster perspective. And like he said here, it doesn't mean that he's going to sacrifice the future. He's going to make sure that they do the right thing to win now, and then again in the future to continue to win and be competitive. And I think all of these allude to everything I just said in terms of always wanting to improve, always striving to be good. I think Joe Lacob came in with a similar mindset for the Golden State Warriors, and look where they're at now. And it's funny. There's a lot of parallels to how things have gone for Phoenix and Golden State over the years. 2 years ago, the Suns made it to the finals. And a lot of that time, a lot of people were kind of like, it doesn't really count. Like, is it a fluke? They got through a big time, injury bug where everybody around them was getting hurt and they didn't even win the finals. So everybody was thinking they were a fluke. That's similar to the Warriors, except they won the finals, but every team they faced outside of maybe Memphis had an injury bug, and a lot of people, especially in the finals, and everybody was like, it's kind of a fluke. Then the following year, they ended up having a career year in wins and having the all-time wins in NBA history with 73 and franchise record that probably won't be broken for them ever again. And that same thing with the Suns. They had a franchise record in wins with 64. They didn't go to the finals, but they lost in the second round. And now the following year, the Warriors had added Kevin Durant. This year, the Suns added Kevin Durant. And this just alludes to how special of an organization the Phoenix Suns are building. And they're very close. They're very close to holding that Bill O'Brien trophy. And I think to have an owner and a governor intact like Mat Ishbia will go a long way for this team. And I think it's going to be a great thing for Phoenix Suns fans everywhere. So all that needs to be is patience. And like I said, to stay healthy. And we shall see from there. But that'll do it on this episode of the Mill3r Sports podcast. Like I said, I'll be tuned in every day as I'll have a podcast episode up every day, except for Mondays, unless there's breaking news happening. So Tuesday through Sunday, I'll always try to have episode out. I'm sorry I didn't have one out on Sunday. Things happen, but I will be able to post Tuesday through Sunday. Just a lot of content, a lot of stuff that I have in store for y'all. So please tune in for that type of stuff. And as always, I'm Franklin Mill3r for the Mill3r Sports podcast and Burn City Sports, and have a great rest of your evening, everybody.